This is the Falco HX 500 electric bike kit. And as you can see, it's spoked into a fat tire bicycle. So there are some companies that produce these just pre-built. Pedigo has one, Surface 604 has one, but you've probably seen the, it's like the Bionics Pugsley from Surly. That's where they just took an existing bike, the Surly Pugsley, and then they spoked in a motor, and that's what we're seeing here. It's just a different sort of a more generic frame. What's really cool about this system here is that most wheels have 36 spokes, okay, including this one. But Falco has worked with customers and actually produces a 32-hole version of their motor, and that's becoming more common for these fat tire bikes. So that's really neat. They're a company that works directly with shops a lot of times and will actually spoke the motor into wheels. But most of their wheels, it's like 20-inch rim, 24, 26, or 700C. So to see something like this set up this way is really cool. I'm going to go ahead and just jump into a few overview points of the bicycle that we're looking at here, just so you get an idea. It's got coaster brakes, a basic kickstand. You got the nice big fat tires, front and rear, a little bit of a chain guard, and standard handlebars up here. So nothing super special. What's really great about the bike is the Falco kit, as you can see. So this is a 500 watt direct drive front hub motor. So it's gearless, it's relatively quiet, and it offers 5 levels of power in addition to 5 levels of regeneration and regenerative sort of like coasting almost. So the way that these direct drive motors work is there's big magnets inside, and then there's a stator, and electricity goes through the stator and it repels the magnets, and that's what gives you the drive. Okay, well, when you're coasting, basically those magnets are still passing the stator, and you can pick up some electricity from that, and they do. So they take that little bit of electricity when you're coasting, they send it back to the battery, and they give you 5 levels of regen. So you can actually, if we're looking at the display here, I hope you can kind of see it. We're at +5 right now. You can go down to +4, +3, +2, +1, 0, which is just, none. And then -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Okay, so you're going down a big hill. You go all the way down to -5, and this acts as kind of like an engine brake. It slows you down because it's actually pulling electricity and recharging your battery. So just a really cool system. The HX 500 comes in a number of different configurations. What we're seeing here is front wheel, but they also have a rear wheel design, and that could give you a little bit more traction. It kind of depends on how you want to set the thing up. This is a little bit of a simpler version, and it's set up with a Pedal X sensor with 12 magnets, so it's extra sensitive when you're pedaling. It's a little bit more responsive than the older 6-magnet design. And it's also got a twist throttle right here. So you twist that and the bike takes off. And the twist throttle overrides the crank sensor or Pedal X sensor there. Of course, the motor, if you had the rear wheel design, they've got the HX 500 has a built-in torque sensing as well. And the cool thing about their torque sensor is that it's measuring the motor torque, so how much torque the motor itself is creating as it's being electrified, and the user's torque. So it separates those two into 2 different channels. It's a pretty advanced and sophisticated motor system. I also just think it kind of looks cool. So the motor is directly connected to the battery, and then this is the wireless receiver. So it sends signals from here to here. And again, that could be on the rear or the front, depending on how you set it up. And this is actually powered off the motor. To charge the display, you just disconnect here, plug it in, and charge it up. So pretty cool system. The battery is built onto this, mounting bracket here. It is removable, so you can charge on or off the bike. And it basically is set up to mount directly to your water bottle cage braze-ons. So it keeps the weight low and center on the bike, which is great. If you had a bike like this and you wanted to add a rear rack, you totally could. The weight of the battery is right there on the center, and it's about 5 pounds. It's a lithium-ion battery. The motor itself is about 9 pounds. Again, the HX 500. And the cool thing about this kit is you can actually go into the computer software and mess around with the power and the speed and just a bunch of different stuff. So you can actually unlock this if you're going off-road and you want to go maybe a little bit faster than the 20 mile per hour legal limit for city use. And with a bike like this, with those fat tires, you could take it to the beach, you could go up to the snow, any of these places where you might sink in with a traditional bike, and this thing is gonna perform well. That's true of all fat bikes, but it's neat that in this case you could sort of overclock it a little bit and have a different experience. I've even seen a cool little ski thing that you can strap onto the front wheel and use this almost like a snowmobile, again, if this was a rear wheel configuration. So enough with the talk. I'm going to hop on. It's kind of neat when you're not using the bike, the display just turns off, and as soon as you touch any of the controls, it lights back up. And yeah, so as soon as I start pedaling this thing, that Pedal X sensor down here that we looked at is going to sense the crank rotation. Well, the way it's set up, I'm in level 5, it's the highest, so you can hear the motor. As soon as I start pedaling, it's going to sense my pedal cadence, the motor's going to switch on, but at any time I can override it with the throttle. Okay, so if I stop pedaling, I can still just throttle along. I'm going to try to demonstrate that. Gonna do a little hill climb test over here. A nice grassy hill. The throttle only. Not bad. A little bit of extra help along the way. And I did want to show, just give you some idea of the rolling resistance on this thing. There is a little bit of resistance given that it's a direct drive motor. So I'm going to lift this up. Wow. Part of what's happening here is the tire is big, the rim is big, so there's a lot of momentum, but very little cogging. And Falco, they speak to that as one of their benefits. So here's the rear wheel. That's it. It's interesting to review a kit like this because there are so many ways that you can install it. You can have the front wheel, you can have the rear wheel, you've got twist throttle. You can get it without any of that. Just go off of torque sensor if it's the rear, so you'd only have a battery and the motor. We've got the wireless computer. It's cool. I definitely like all the different features. Kind of has this open source feel. You can set it up the way that you want, and you can even overclock it a little bit, which is really cool. So for more on this and other electric bikes, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com.